listening to Home Sweet Home. And now here's Russ McClellan.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. And Amanda Light has a story. She's going to be on again next week and talk about an inspirational person. Wow, 28 paralyzed, came back. She has 75 MAPS clients. I'm one of them. That's a coaching business. Plus, she's a massively cool person and a fantastic real estate broker at Keller Williams out of Portland now. But anyway, thanks to Amanda. And I got Michael Maher. Hey, Michael, thanks for calling in.
Hey. Yeah, Russ, how's it going?
Good. Michael's my co-host and partner in crime on the radio show. We're not high-fiving in studio like we'd like to be, but that's all right.
Soon.
You know, pretty soon we won't even know what it's like to get pants on again. It'll be, we're sitting around Zoom calling in our underwear or some crazy thing every day.
Yeah, exactly.
For those that don't know, Michael Maher's with Prime Lending, incredible lender, both sides of the state. But, lives right here in north central Washington. Michael, what's going on, man? Talk about a crazy, uncharted territory that we're in lending, huh?
It really is. And it seems like every single day things are changing. We're able to do one thing one day, and then the next day we're given the red flag to stop and hold on, and we got to wait until certain things get, dialed in a little bit more, and credit is getting a little bit stricter. There's a lot going on right now in the industry, and I think a lot of people are scared. I know I recently just had somebody, walk away at the final hour of a deal about 5 days before closing, and they got kind of spooked with what was going on in their job, and they were overall in a really good situation, and they were pretty strong, but just with everything going on, it's got some people spooked. But I wanted to kind of touch on that even though this is going on now, and I'm not downplaying what anyone's going through, and at the end of the day, if you don't feel like it's the right time, sometimes it's best to trust your gut. But I also want to make sure that people realize not to make a really drastic decision based out of fear when all this is, for the most part, going to be temporary. There's going to be some lasting effects, but at the end of the day, it will be temporary. Things will slowly kind of work themselves out, however long that takes, but just not to react in such a way that you could lose out on something and then later regret it down the road.
Yeah, I think for me, in the urgency factor of north central Washington anywhere, and I believe that some people, I had a big talk today with one of my agents about the difference between macroeconomics and microeconomics. We'll hear on the news or on the world news, national news, that this is happening or that is happening. But a lot of times you need to kind of focus on the microeconomic climate. And to me, what I see happening is rates are still unbelievably low.
Yep.
And I see a forced adoption, is what I'm calling it, of technology, where people are going to be able to work from home at a higher level than they've ever been able to do before, right? And so to me, what that means is, whether we like it or not, living in this side of the state, there's going to be a bunch of people that make good money on the west side of the state. And I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. If I could make money in Lake Chelan, if I could make money in Wenatchee, if I could make money in Leavenworth, I'd move there. So guess what? I see demand coming, right? And we already kind of had a supply problem in a lot of price points. And then I see interest rates that probably aren't going down. So in time, it wasn't that long ago, was it? They were at 5%.
Yep.
And now we're at low threes probably, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So all of a sudden, if you're thinking about backing out, I'd like to have a coaching session with you, because I'm afraid. Now, Yogi Berra once said, predicting things is very, very difficult, especially about the future, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I would rethink whether this particular market is going to be a seller's market at a higher level than it was. Time will tell.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And I think it's important to, like you said, the agent talked to the clients, and I talked to the clients and explained all the benefits on, even if they were able to, because there's a rental crisis right now, even in Wenatchee still to this day. And people are having a hard time finding a place to rent.
Right.
Worst case scenario, they could have rented the place out on their $1,500 a month payment, turned around and rented it out for $1,800, $1,900 a month or more, and cash flowed on it and not be out the house and go find something to rent while they figured it out. So this has got a lot of people spooked, and I just encourage people to look at, these times never last. as long as they do. But you can, if you're surrounding yourself with a good team that can give you solid advice and there's some outs there, then I'd say continue to go for it. Cause like you said, rates aren't going to be sticking around this long or this low for long.
Yeah.
Eventually with, things going on with forbearance and some other stuff with servicers that are happening in the market right now, that we've already seen some small spikes and then they've come back down and settled down. But you gotta strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, I mean, every time we talked about it just a little bit on the show, every time there's adversity, there's opportunity, and you got to look at your own individual scenario. You have, obviously employment and your employer's health. I mean, a lot of times people forget that they think about their job as an employee, right, and what affects them. But we often miss the fact that we have to think about these employers, and if the employers aren't healthy, then I could definitely see that's a challenge, right? You don't want to be committing yourself if, for example, you have to move to become employed. So, I mean, every individual is different. There's not a blanket right answer, wrong answer. But I think one thing that we've talked about a lot, it doesn't really matter when or what time of the year, but now's a great time to over-communicate with your lender.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not afraid to get bugged a couple times a day, are you, by a client?
No, not at all. It's been nonstop. Pretty much 7 days a week while all this is going on, with people asking questions and fielding phone calls about people, what happens if this happens. And we're constantly getting updated on people and their jobs. And more often than not, we have a lot of people that are still purchasing, that are still able to work and blessed to be able to work from home. But there are some that we're having to kind of call an audible and see what creative ways we can come up to still fund loans for people. Because typically you don't have a payment for 1 to 2 months, and hopefully a lot of this kind of blows over. We don't really know when that might be, but that's what a lot of people are wanting to do, is fund these loans and have that gap period where they can save some money and then push forward and not panic and lose out on the opportunity on the rates and actually finding a home for themselves.
Well, you made a good point, especially at the entry level, first time home buyer, or really anybody, right? The rental market's tight too. Rates are at an all-time low. I mean, last month there was a deal in Leavenworth that had 14 offers in one day and went way above asking price.
Wow.
Right? I mean, all of a sudden, these buyers that I see coming with this forced adoption is a real deal. It's a real shift in the demand. And if we had a supply problem before, and we have a supply problem in the rental game, and you believe you're going to be employed, over the long run, the best of your ability, and that means communicate with your employer too. Get real with your employer, and then get real with you, Michael, and talk about their individual financial well-being, and then make a rational decision. And what I've always appreciated about what you do is you can give them a GPS, right? Like you can tell them, okay, if you're not here today, here's where we could be tomorrow, a month from now, 6 months from now, and you can help them through making some, almost like a business strategist or a business coach, along with being a lender.
Exactly, and that's a big topic of discussion right now is that FHA and all these investor, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA are strengthening, or not strengthening, but increasing their minimum credit score in threshold.
Right.
And I look at that as we've already been doing that up until this point. Anytime someone has a credit score that's 620, 640, yes, they might qualify. And if it works out, and they don't have to do things, we don't force anybody, but we always give people a plan to help them get their scores up if possible. So it allows them and it gives them the best opportunities to succeed. So when I see that, FHA increases their minimum credit score to 640, well, it doesn't really matter because we're already helping people get beyond and above that if we can.
Yeah, so, you're saying helping people. A lot of times you'll look at their credit history and you'll do some adjustments, some credit, not credit, official credit counseling, but you know how to do rapid rescores and some things that you can help them with advice to, maybe pay down the lowest balance on a credit card or things like that that can just, that is within their means. But a lot of times we don't know that. We've never really, as consumers, looked into our credit reports that aggressively. A lot of people, we talk about it a lot on the show, but they rely on Credit Karma and things like that, which are fine little gauges for, you always say they're fine gauges for like trends or patterns, but they're not necessarily that accurate.
You got it.
So, I mean, again, this is a reason why you get, you roll your sleeves up, you get down and dirty, you over communicate, because things do change hour to hour almost. And At the same time, I want to tell people, make the call, right? Don't get discouraged. There's opportunity in this adversity. And I agree with you. Like I said last month, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And that's a real simple statement, but I think it has a lot of merit. So
it totally does.
Yeah, appreciate you calling in, and just keep banging it out and put your clothes on, would you?
Absolutely. Thanks, Russ. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Hey, I coming to the end of the show, I appreciate everybody tuning in, taking the time away from Tiger King and Netflix. And it's a time of adversity, but it's also a time of opportunity. If you want to get a hold of us at Keller Williams, give me a call anytime. 509-470-2416 is my personal cell phone number. You can call our office at 888-0038, and we're here to help you. So, as always, put the phone in the drawer, spend some time with your friends and family. Maybe I should rethink that. Get outside, get away from your friends and family. No, I'm kidding. All right, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you have a great Saturday.
I have a new home, home sweet home. Thanks, Keller Williams. I love my dream home.